Son of a bitch.
That is not a way you want to start off a project, but let's get into it. So this project is for 17 bookshelves. Again, not a way you want to start off a project, just banging stuff around. But lots of plywood on this project, and so I'm using my CNC here. The best part about this is I'm cutting some dados with it, and so the CNC is going to manage cutting all those dados nice and tight, and even cut out my parts for me. So this was nice, but I know that everybody's gonna be like, well, I could do that if I had a CNC. You could do this by hand. Track saw, table saw, it's gonna work great. This is not complicated parts. You could do it quick. You could do it pretty easy. The dados might be tough. I don't know why you wouldn't use this if you have it. So into the other part of the project, rough cutting all of my face frame parts. Let's see. So cut it, measure it, mark it, stack it, around and around and around we go with this. This is a lot of face frames, 17 bookshelves. There's face frames front and back because I didn't know if these were going to go on a wall or in the middle of a room, what have you. So built it to accomplish everything. And you're going to see I'm just cutting and stacking, cutting and stacking, cutting and stacking. Oh, you know what? I think this is the same clip over and over again. Nah, I'm not good at this. Nobody said I was. So after getting all of your face frames cut to rough length, you are going to go over to the joiner. Get a nice clean flat face. Get a nice clean edge. Make sure they're at 90. And again, you're going to just stack your parts up because this is a production project. This is not some fun, cute one-off. There's a lot going on with this one. So after getting all of your stock jointed, getting at 90, moving on over to the planer. And man, do you want to talk about just running stuff through over and over and over and over again. Taking this all down to 3/4 of an inch. I actually went just over that because I'm going to be utilizing the drum sander later in this video. But I don't even know what I'm doing here. I had to disappear for dust, clean up the dust collector maybe? I don't know. But finish these up. Lots of passes through the planer. After that, we're going to move over to the table saw. And this is not my angle, but you're going to rip everything down to width. These are 2-inch wide strips, and you're just going to cut and stack, cut and stack, cut and stack. And, you know, if you're like me, you're going to have something happen. Another one with the dust collector. So that was fun. Had to go take care of that, get it all cleaned up, and back to cutting, stacking, just tossing off cuts on the ground, because what else are you going to do with it? You know, this project is a lot of this. But crank through these, run them through the drum sander, knock off all the tool marks, all the planing marks, get them to that final 3/4 inch thickness, and then we are going to move over to cutting the dados on this part. Now, I shouldn't have cut the dados. I'll explain that here in a little bit, but I do love this dado cutter. It is amazing. This is on the shaper. Throw a power feeder on there. The cut on this is just beautiful. It is super clean. It's super consistent. Leaves an amazing edge, and there's no tear out because it has those scoring blades. Now, the shaper is definitely capable of handling this, but this is not for the faint of heart. I do not recommend running this without a power feeder. You can see there how much it's taking off. That cutter is much larger and it's capable of cutting much deeper. So, you know, you could use a table saw for this, not a big deal. And after cutting the dados, we're going to talk about the design of this project a little bit in detail and why I don't think I should have cut these dados.
Okay, I've got a bookshelf here that is assembled with no face frames. And the design issue I had on this that I really wish I would have thought through at the beginning is I inset these shelves. The outsides were going to have a dado on the face frame. They do have a dado on the face frame actually to help with the rigidity was the idea. Should not have done it. I should have done a flush bookshelf and face frame all the way around. The problem that I ran into is one, there's some float in the dados of this. And so during assembly, you need to make sure that these shelves are all even so that your face frame pieces with the dado go on nice and they butt up against the shelf. The other issue is you have to make sure that you're basically centered, or you're gonna have to run 2 different dado depths on your face frame. So if you were to butt this all the way to one direction and do face frames, you're gonna have a smaller gap than on the back side. And actually that's what happened with this as I was doing my test piece. So what I did to combat that is I actually put the face frame on the outside 2 pieces to start. That way during assembly I could take my shelf pieces and I could actually press up against that face frame edge to set the distance. And then that way on the back side, it's all consistent as well. I did do all of the face frame dado depths the same. I did that math ahead of time. It worked out pretty well. So I'm gonna show you the assembly process now for all of these shelves with me doing the face frame edges first. And definitely think through your design before you start to go all the way down to the assembly process, because the assembly process can really be a big headache if you don't. This one went okay, but if I were to go back and redo this, I would definitely just flush everything up and do simple face frames with no dados.
And as we get into the assembly process here, you can see what I'm talking about with those dados and making sure everything's aligned properly. So I'm going to put the sides on here, and this is really simple. Glue, get them on there, align them top to bottom, make sure you're pressed up nice and tight, and then to put this all together, I'm just using a 23 gauge pin nailer. It's going to get clear coated. This size pin is very, very, very hard to see, but it's going to hold everything in place long enough to get that glue nice and set up. Gonna do both sides. Now I am actually grouping this so that they're gonna be on the same side of the bookshelf, so that when I'm putting in the actual shelf portions of this, it's on the same side, and you'll kind of see what I mean here in a little bit. But after getting these on, I did these batched out so that, you know, that glue could set up, move along, keep doing it, stack them up. Now, I also have some larger bookshelves here. So there's 2 different sizes to this. It's the same process for all of it. And now we're gonna do an actual assembly of the shelves. Pretty simple with that dado. Throw some glue in there and grab a shelf, slide it into place. This is one of the beautiful things about that CNC and the ability for it to cut the dados so accurately and so cleanly. Now, I had some settings that were just a little bit snug on the CNC here. So this is going in super tight. Now, later assemblies, I did start using a clamp across this. This assembly here that you're watching is gonna be some hammer usage, which ended up working fine, but I found the clamp was more consistent, a lot quicker, and, you know, just easier to do overall. But I am tapping everything in. I will be putting on the other side here in a second. And the reason that you want to make sure those face frames are on the same side is, as you can see, when it kind of tips down, you want to be able to press your shelves up against those face frames and make sure that it's spaced pretty evenly. Then you're going to be putting on the other side face frame. I came back through and did the actual shelf face frame portions later, just to kind of make it easier on myself. But that's really it for assembly on this.
Another outfit change? What am I, a Ken doll? Whatever. All right, guys, thanks for following along. This project was fun. It was a lot of repetition, a lot of the same thing, but when you've got 17 of something, that's gonna happen, right? Definitely would do this a little bit differently next time from a design perspective, but it was great for the business, and you know, I'd take another project on like this. Sometimes you have to do these projects that aren't the most fun, but make some money and are fairly easy to do. So if you want to watch some more shenanigans in the shop, throw me a follow. I will be posting some more videos soon, and so I'd appreciate it if you follow along. Thanks.